Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I am Erin Choquette, the CEO of the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority. With me are some of my team members, Maddie Granado, as our Government Relations Coordinator, Jessica Vargas, who heads up our outreach and education, and Michael Caesar, who is our General Counsel. We're so pleased that you're here and that you're interested in our request for proposals for the Community Education Coordinators. This is being recorded, and the recording will be posted. Any questions that are posed and the answers we give will also be captured, so they'll be included in the materials on the RFP. We're just going to get started with a quick summary of our program. We'll do an overview of this new Community Education Coordinators initiative. We'll do a review of the request for proposal process and talk about the timeline and deadlines, and we should have time for any questions that you may bring. So, just generally about the Connecticut Paid Leave Program, if you're not aware of us, the Connecticut Paid Leave Act was signed into law in June of 2019 and was fully implemented in January of 2022. The program consists of two parts. Covered employers deduct 0.5% from employees' wages, which supports the Paid Leave Trust, and we use that trust to pay benefits to workers. To date, Connecticut Paid Leave has provided more than $719 million in income replacement benefits to over 109,000 Connecticut workers. Connecticut Paid Leave claims have come from every city and town in the state, as you can see from our map, which shows sort of populations where we've received the claims. The most important thing to know, I think, about the Connecticut Paid Leave program is that we create a source of income replacement benefits for eligible workers who need time away from work for the same reasons as family and medical leave. But we are not a source of job-protected leave. So, we're really there for the money. The Connecticut Paid Leave Act is implemented by our agency, the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority, which is a quasi-public agency. FMLA, as you probably know, stands for the Family and Medical Leave Act. There's both a federal FMLA and a Connecticut FMLA. Both laws were first enacted in the 1990s, although the Connecticut FMLA was significantly revised effective 2022. Both laws allow eligible employees to take job-protected time away from work for specific reasons, meaning that the employer has to hold the job for those workers while they're out of work. The Family and Medical Leave Acts are implemented by the employers. So employees apply to their employers for that time off from work, and they are overseen and enforced by the state and federal departments of labor. Neither FMLA law requires the employers to provide payment to the workers while they're out on leave. Employers may choose to adopt policies that allow their employees to access income replacement, often through PTO, but FMLA does not require that, and that's why Connecticut Paid Leave exists, to fill that gap. So as I mentioned before, the paid leave program works through employee deductions. This is an employee-funded program. Covered employers deduct 0.5% from their workers' paychecks, which we call contributions. These contributions are remitted to the authority on a quarterly basis, and they go into the Paid Leave Trust. If a worker needs time away from work for a qualifying reason, they apply to their employer for that job-protected leave under FMLA and apply to the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority for income replacement benefits. We encourage workers to check their paychecks and ensure that those contributions are being deducted, and to contact us through our paidleave.org website if they need income replacement benefits.
So I'm going to talk now about an overview of the Community Education Coordinators Initiative. So this is a new program that we're launching with the idea of strengthening our outreach and education efforts amongst targeted communities throughout the state. So we are utilizing the request for proposal process to identify organizational partners to assist us with our outreach efforts, specifically focusing on communities that need extra support understanding the law and applying for benefits. In terms of kind of the nuts and bolts of the finance part of it, we're anticipating, although not guaranteeing, a total budget of $750,000 for this initiative. And we're hoping to award between 10 and 15 contracts to different organizations. So that $750,000 would be split amongst the 10 to 15 organizations. The contract term anticipated to begin October 1st of this year and would run through 2025, terminating December 31st of next year. The RFP is posted on CT Source, which is the state contracting portal, and it is open until June 17th. We have 4 different objectives for this program. The first is to increase awareness amongst the Connecticut workforce of the paid leave program through methods that are both community-centered and language-specific. Our second goal is to build capacity among communities to provide assistance with the actual application process, specifically to communities that might face barriers to accessing paid leave benefits, which could include language barriers, access to technology, or other such barriers. Third is to develop and distribute effective outreach materials in English and Spanish. We know are certainly both languages that we need, but also additional languages that there's a need for across the state to expand workers' exposure to the program. And fourth, to increase collaboration and establish a feedback loop between the authority and these community organizations and service providers to strengthen our overall outreach strategies. We've identified some different focus populations. These are not necessarily the only populations, but these are the ones that we know of that are important for us to reach. So those include low-wage, part-time, hourly, and seasonal workers, as well as workers who may hold multiple jobs. Women, Black, Latino, Latina, Asian American, Pacific Islander, Native American, immigrant, refugee, and LGBTQ+ workers. Workers with disabilities, workers who are veterans, younger workers falling in the 16 to 24 age group, or workers who are 65 and older. That might include workers who are retired but currently work in a part-time job after their retirement. Additional populations are victims and survivors of domestic violence or sexual violence, military families, service providers, and community organizations that directly work with any of those aforementioned populations. And then, as I mentioned previously, any additional focus populations that a proposer might identify as an important group with a provided explanation as to why that group needs specific support and attention. In terms of who is eligible to submit for this, this contract, the RFP is open to nonprofit 501c3s, faith-based organizations, and municipal government entities. And the eligible entities must demonstrate to us a capacity and a history of success in either conducting outreach and education, translating and providing workers' rights information and employer resources in culturally appropriate, language-specific, and otherwise accessible formats, and or providing direct application support and assistance to workers. There are a couple of required activities, and then there are some additional activities that we would be looking for. So the required activities for all of these selected contractors would be attending technical trainings and regular meetings with our staff, and record keeping and reporting on the progress of the contract activities and initiatives. And then the additional activities may include, so this is a list of some things that could be done, but it's not limited. Providing application assistance and support directly to workers, direct distribution of Connecticut paid leave information, development of outreach materials, and other activities like collecting feedback and testimonials from workers and or employers regarding their experience with the paid leave program.
Okay, great. So now we'll cover how to submit a proposal. So responses to the RFP should be submitted in their entirety in an electronic or an electronic PDF format to myself, madeline.granado@ct.gov, by the end of day on June 17th, 2024. We'll require basic contact information, including your name, mailing address, website, and social media handles, if you have any, as well as the name and contact information of an authorized representative and one alternate. So now I'll go through information required of a proposal. I do just want to note that this is a high-level overview of the requirements. For complete information and details for each requirement, as well as, the required format of a proposal. And just encourage everyone to actually read the RFP that's posted. And also want to know, if it's your first time working with CT Source, to view the RFP in its entirety, you have to make sure you scroll down to the bottom of the page and open to view the complete documents. So information required of proposals include strength and qualifications of the proposer's organization and staff, including a demonstrated history of success with similar work, a scope of services, such as what activities you plan to provide, a staffing plan that details who on your team will be performing the work, a budget and budget narrative, as well as state certifications, including the completion of the State of Connecticut Campaign Contribution Certification Form, which is required for proposals of $50,000 or more, as well as an affirmative understanding of the obligations set forth in the Connecticut general statutes around non-discrimination practices of state contractors. So the authority plans to use the following criteria to review proposals, including the organization's qualifications and general experience, the scope of services and plan to complete project deliverables, previous experience on similar projects, costs, your commitment to diversity on your staff or your team, efficiency of operations, and accountability. Here is a timeline for the initiative over the next several months. The deadline for submitting questions regarding the RFP is May 24th, 2024. All questions, again, should be submitted to me, madeline.granado@ct.gov. We will release the answers to questions regarding the RFP on May 31st, 2024. Answers will be posted to our website, ctpaidleave.org, as well as RFP's landing page on CT Source. The deadline for submitting proposals, as we mentioned, is June 17th. Also, as mentioned, proposals should be emailed to me. That's my email. If necessary, we're aiming to interview proposers between July 1st and July 19th to gain more information about your proposal. And then we're aiming to select proposals by the week of July 22nd, with contract negotiations completed by August of this year. We're aiming to begin training our selected contractors in October. Training will include the basics of Connecticut paid leave again, and as well as kind of the ins and outs of our program and how to apply for benefits. And the goal is for outreach activities to begin either by the end of this year or by early 2025. So that's all the information that we have. I think we'll open it for questions, right, Erin? And I'll stop sharing my screen here.
And I believe you should be able to raise your hand, and then I can give you the ability to speak, or you can also use the Q&A function to submit your question if you prefer.
Just to get things started, I will say that we are super excited about this new initiative, and we really are hoping to really build on our outreach efforts. We know, however, that we cannot replace or replicate the work that you and other community organizations are already doing, and the reputations and relationships you already have with your constituents, which is why we are really hoping that we can partner to build that outreach and make sure that everyone who's participating in the paid leave program knows how to access the benefits when they need them. So we have a couple of questions that came in. The first is there a minimum budget or scope of work / amount of outreach that a proposal must include? There is no minimum, although, as we noted, the two required elements are participating in training and being willing to provide us those reports. Then you need to pick something else, right? Like those are just like the housekeeping elements. We still need you to sort of identify what of the other 4 suggested activities or another activity that you would want to propose that you could do. So we do need some outward facing piece of it. Second is, are there any employee salary requirements, prevailing wage? Can we use independent contractors? This is not covered by prevailing wage, so that is not something you have to be concerned about. In terms of employee versus independent contractor, we would want to know what your plan is and how you would anticipate using your workers, but we do not have a requirement for picking an employee versus an independent contractor. Third, are we going to receive this presentation via email, and is there any budget line item cap? We are planning on posting this video. We can send it out to anyone who had registered. That's fine. We can do that as well. Is there any budget line item cap? Well, as just mentioned, the proposed budget is intended to be divided amongst the various contractors, so please don't submit a proposal for the full amount of our entire budget. It's not going to work, but we don't have any preset line item caps, recognizing that, as Maddie said, the costs and efficiency of operations are certainly things we take into consideration. And then a question is, do we have a preference for local versus statewide outreach? The answer is not really. We do want to achieve statewide outreach, but whether we achieve statewide outreach through various local directed efforts versus sort of an entity that says, no, we have statewide outreach, we're open to that. We really want to see kind of what the proposal is. So if you have a great relationship in a particular area of the state and you can really demonstrate that you can do a great job there, that's perfectly fine. If you say we've already got a statewide arrangement, no, we really just want to see what your proposal is. Can outreach education assistance be combined with outreach, etc., regarding other Connecticut benefits like My CT Savings, Husky Health? So yes, provided that there's a way to appropriately track the time and materials so that you're not, so that we can sort of track kind of what is being done for us versus what is being done for other programs. We definitely see that there's an opportunity to build upon other outreach efforts, but we do need to be able to have you track and record the time so that we're not paying for things that are outside of our scope and that you're not charging other programs for things you're doing for us. How many contractors are you expecting to select? We anticipate 10 to 15, but that's a rough estimate. It really depends on what proposals we receive and kind of what the proposed plans are to make sure that we get that broad coverage. I will say that depending upon the success of this program, we're very hopeful that this is something that we can continue going into the future years. This is, you know, the scope is just this October to December timeframe for this contract, but if this program is a success, it's something we'd want to continue on going into the future. And give people a moment if they have any further questions. As mentioned, if you have questions that you think of later, particularly after you read the RFP, if you haven't done so, you can submit those questions in writing to Maddie. We will be posting a consolidated question and answer document that will include these questions and answers, as well as any questions that we receive in the coming weeks. How many people are you aiming to provide direct technical assistance within the 750,000? So we do not have a guideline for that. And one of the things that we are most interested in and excited about is to see and build the capacity for providing direct technical assistance. But at this point in time, we don't have a target goal of the number of workers who would be able to receive. As Maddie put in the chat, she added her email address. If you have questions, you can send those to her at madelinegranato@ct.gov. Again, we really appreciate your interest in this initiative. We hope to receive further questions from you if you have any, and hope that this is something that you're interested in. This is something that we're very excited about, and we would love to get robust responses to our request for proposal. All right. Not seeing any other questions. Not seeing anybody with raised hands. So I think this looks like there are no other questions that are coming. Again, we can send this video. If you've registered with us, we'll send it to you by email. It will also be posted, so you can always refer back to it. And then again, please check out the RFP document itself, which can be accessed through the Connecticut Contract Board, or if you go to our website, you'll see the press release regarding it, which includes a link to the RFP itself. Great. Well, thank you very much for your time and attention this afternoon.
Thank you, everybody.